Supercoaches, I'm not sure how we even describe what round 14 was. It's very strange. Personally, in my team, had a lot of issues there with how things played out. And I did have Jeremy Marshall King in my squad. That was a big one. So him being out just made me have to rethink a lot of things because I have Brandon Smith sitting there in the emergencies there. So not great. What I just was thinking about doing there was Jacob Little, Jake Turpin were options. I was like, oh, do I just trade Jeremy Marshall King to one of the more expensive guys, Damien Cooks and the like? I ended up deciding to go for neither of those options. Jane Ockaball came in. He was serviceable, 48, gained 50 odd thousand. So hopefully he can bag a try or get some attacking stats because I think that was probably the lowest score he will receive in that second row position. And thankfully he's kept that spot and he's going to go fourth with that, which is awesome news. I think he'll be hitting a 50 plus pretty regularly with the 80 minutes that he'll get. So happy with that trade. He obviously gives me a number for round 16 as well, which is cool. End up having to take the lowest score between Murdoch Masilla and also Paul Alamotti, and Alamotti went up to 48. So I missed out on 28 points there. I had Cleary as captain, which wasn't ideal. If I thought about it, I was still trying to work out trades, which was my thing, and then it was like, oh, can I loop? And then by the time I wanted to loop, it was a little bit too late. Then of course, Murphy's Law, how it works out, that you don't do that, and unfortunately your captain goes down injured. So I missed out on, let's just say, close to 90 points there in that one. Which was annoying. The other thing I did was when we got the Dylan Brown news, I traded him for Joey Manu and got 41 as well. So it kind of all didn't work out great. I was sitting there looking for a really good score, and I was hoping with the Brown to Manu trade in that I would be able to get up near the 1200 mark, and he just didn't perform very well, which wasn't great at all. They obviously play Panthers this week, which is even worse, but him at fullback next week is going to be really important, I think, there. So scoring wise, obviously had a bunch of good ones with keeping Hines and trading out for Feeder a couple of weeks ago was an absolute masterstroke, godsend, thank you. So 90 from him, 100 from Walker, 114 from Jermaine Asako, 111 from Buller. So a bunch of really good scores in there with Johnson as well, 107, in amongst some 50s. Mulatalo, Preston, Wilton, and Harris were all okay. Ockenball the 48. So not ideal overall. Had to play Billy Smith for 37, and then had a bunch of guys sitting there in my reserves in Hopgood, Gutho, Marzu, Garrick, and then Jeremy Marshall King and Brandon Smith. Jeremy Marshall King was the big one. If he just played, it means I wouldn't have had to take one of those auto emergencies. I'd probably, let's just say Marshall King at 60. I don't play. I was going to play Alamotti. Instead, I couldn't, and had the auto emergency of Murdoch Vasilla. So, however it would have worked, I would have ended up much better and at least over 1150 in that one. After captaining Hines the last few weeks, it was. I think it was going to be a fun one to captain to Cleary, and it just didn't work out, obviously. So that's that in that one there. We'll have a look at some trade-in options as well. But, the 1116 was the score. We had some green dots, some green arrows, I should say. 83 rankings. We go up into 1143. And I had a look, and if I did do the loop and picked up the extra 68 points, I'd be sitting in the 700s overall rank. So there's not a lot of, the 70 points separates 400 spots there, which is great news for us. And, it's going to be, I think, fairly easy to gain some rankings from here. Especially with my team this week, I have zero issues. I actually have more good players than not. And I'm sure are a few people out there sitting there with a few red dots, a few outs, but not any issues from my side. My issue really is just Cleary, and then do I trade in Moses, and then I have so many guys that I'm going to be leaving out, which I'll show you in a second. 19 trades, so just use the 2 last week. I have 2 boosts remaining as well. Not sure when we're going to be able to use them, considering I think I'm sitting at sort of 13 players already for round 16, which is cool. Obviously that's before injuries and stuff and any potential trades next week, but I doubt we're going to have to do more than 2 trades this week if we want to. It's more just like rounding out the side and getting it better. Playing Moses in the side who has that massive upside, I think it's gonna be pretty cool, rather than playing like a Wilton or these types of guys, that the Marzus. There's even those type of questions I'm asking with them coming up against the Broncos. I think their defense is going to be a little bit tougher. So 15 mil, just over that, is the team value. Very, very good news overall there for my squad. Before trades this week, this is how I fixed it up to set it up there, and my reserves there. So Jerry Marshall King comes back in. It's Horsburgh and Tarpany. I'm leaving Welchie on the not as a non-player. The 43 was a bit yuck. Thought he was going to do a bit better than that, and was hoping for the week that I play him. that he doesn't do so well. Hopgood comes back in. Then it's a mixture between Tohu Harris, Preston, and Wilton. I've got Ockenbaugh on the bench as a non-player as well, which I think he can hit that 50 plus. So there's one lower guy. Hines as captain, likely. We'll work out who's going to vice from here. Cody Walker, this is how it's set up from last week there, and also Joey Manu in there as well. So coming up against the Panthers, I just think that he'll be able to do a little bit better than he did last week. He didn't look very good at all. Cleary in there, we could go straight to Moses from him. If I was to do that, I would then have to choose one between Mazu, Manu, and Wilton to take off the reserves list, which is not too nice because I think we have to play Buller and Gutho. Gutho, they play a slightly weaker side in the Dogs, which is good news for them. In the centre wing, we've got Mulatalo, Osako, Garrick, and also Johnson. So huge news there in round 15. Those guys we're very excited about. Garrick in the centre's not super exciting, but they come up against a weaker side as well. So you'd like him for his goal kicking. And with Tommy there, I think he can set up a trial too for Garrick. Or, Garrick could score as well from there. Mazu, obviously, the thing is, as I said, coming up against the Broncos, who have a very solid defense at the moment. Do we want to play Greg? Obviously, coming off a 137. He did have some low scores before that, though. So just be aware of that, guys. If you're looking at Greg, he does have some lower scores in the 40s, 50s, and then he has the big boom games against the lesser side. So Broncos not being a lesser team, I think it's a tougher week to try and hope to get a massive score out of him. But obviously, I'm picking hairs here because I have such a good team this week. And then sitting into 16, I'll have a look at we'll call out the guys I have. No hookers at the moment, but likely we'll trade for one, I'd say, next week, but we'll work that out. Next week, we don't have Horsburgh and Tapane. We have Welchie. So, there's a thought that this week I go for Couchman to Fainu. And Murdoch Masilla comes back down as he's a player this week, and there's a chance of making some cash. Not a bit of a higher break even after the 20, but he still made cash last week. So one of Couchman or Murdoch Masilla might come out for Samuela Fainu. He's a really cheap guy with a break even in the negatives this week, so he's definitely a solid option if you need to make cash, but make room for another player. But most of us don't with trading Cleary out. Anyone you go down to, unless you're going across to Hines, is going to be of lesser value, so you have that extra cash available. But I might just be going those two trades this week just to get another player for round 16 there. But at this stage, this is what it looks like now. So just the one player so far in those top two positions. Then we have Hopgood, Preston, Wilton. So there's 4. Ockenbaugh, 5 there. Hines, we'll say he's out. I'm going to trade Cleary to Moses, most likely. So that leaves me with 6. And then we have Joey Manu, 7. We have Garrick Mulatalo, 9. We have Mazu, 10. Alamotti, 11. Billy Smith, 12. And then we have Buller and Gutho for 14. So that's with the one Cleary trade. And if I trade for Fainu as well, that leaves me with 15. So a lot of players heading into round 16, and that's before any trades coming into that week. So as I said, probably don't have to loot. Probably don't have to boost in that week. And maybe I can use round 19. 17, 19, or 20 as a boost week. I just haven't really needed to. There's a few times like, do I use it? Do I not? It was kind of like a bit of a luxury, not needed to trade it and decided to hold. Maybe there's one week where I'm going to have 3 injuries and I just need to boost that week. So that's what we're going to keep it for. In the hooking position, I don't really like a lot of the options. Turpin's a cheap guy you could slot in. Has that spot for the next 4 weeks. Could definitely be a solid option. But any of the guns at the moment, with Robson being away, not excited about anyone else really. Reid Marnie, Cook's chance to play Origin. Marshall King, I think, is the best scorer at this point. Grant scoring low. No one of real note, and that's why I haven't traded Brandon Smith. But yeah, I could definitely go Smith to Turpin as well if we want to this week. In the front row forward, it's Horsburgh and Taps. I think both of them can score pretty well this week. Welchie, I'm just going to hold for that one there. Trades that you could look at in the front row forward position, not a lot. Obviously, Jack DeBellin's been of interest. Fainu is in there, and he's obviously one to look at, but there's just not really many available in that front row forward position unless you're going the Sipleys and these type of guys of the world, which I'm not too excited about. So unless it's Fainu, I'm not really excited there. 2RF, you got plenty in the Batemans and IPAPs and these types of players. And would I trade any of these 4 options I've got for him? It's probably hard. It's a bit of a luxury to go Wilton up. He hasn't been scoring that well, and it's probably, if I bring in Moses there, Wilton is likely to be the guy that I take off the reserve, just because he hasn't been scoring that well of late. He had 2 good games where he scored a try, but unless he's scoring a try, he's not being as good as a lot of the other guys. Tohu Harris, probably another guy you can look at. Preston, they're all about that same type of score, 55 to 60, but Harris and Preston a little bit more consistent on that basis. Yeah, 2RF not a lot to speak on in the halves there. Obviously Moses, it's Johnson. There's Jack Cogger. There's not a lot really else there. 5/8 position. If you don't have Walker, you probably stay away, I think. Yeah, we need to find out what's going to happen with Origin if he happens to get picked or something like that. Manu's obviously an option in there. And then, see what happens with Brown, obviously. Center wing, there's so many options, guys. So anyone in my squad that's playing next week is an option there with Mulatalo, Garrick, and obviously Marzu, all solid ones. I would probably look to Mulatalo, given he's lost a bit of cash in that last, with that last big drop of over 50k. He's definitely someone to look at there. But, Ponga is the great option. Is the other one, in the 5/8 position, all the fullbacks. But yeah, Buller and Gutho is a great combination. I wouldn't look to buy Gutho, but if you own him, you're definitely playing him and sticking him in your squad. But on that, I think that's probably all we need to say with the Supercoach at the moment. You want to be looking at, obviously this week, you want to be looking at round 16. You want to be looking at round 17 as well. I think this week I'll definitely be able to make it into that top 1,000 unless my captaincy goes awry. But I think Heinze is going to be playing for his spot in Origin and should be able to score pretty well. I don't think he played that well last week. He had one good play with that pass to Talakai, and other than that, wasn't too crash hot for Heinze, so I definitely think he's a great captaincy option this week. Other captains, not too excited again with anyone else, to be honest with you. There's no real clear best matchup. You got Tommy Turbo playing this week, and he could be a captaincy option. I'd be looking against Teddy as a captaincy against Panthers, but really it's Hines, Moses, or bust, I think, this week, unless you want to take a big risk and then you're going like a Buller VC or something like that. But can he go 100 again? I'm not exactly sure. But I hope you enjoyed that update, guys. I wish you all the best of luck with your side. Just send me a message in the comments there of this video, and I'll be able to help with any questions around your team. Thanks for this, and see you later.